Google Pest Control Marketer. Grow your business like never before. Call 770-993-0004.
Hal Coleman has been.
You know what I did? I hit the wrong button. Well, that proves this is live, doesn't it?
How often have we done that? Folks, this is Hal Coleman. This is yet another episode of the Imperfect Pest Control Marketing.live, and I'm here with the ever-present, effervescent, always pleasant mistake maker, Mr. Online, Mike Stewart. And you know, Mike, this ain't brain surgery. You know what? We make mistakes that most people don't catch. They might have caught that one, but that's okay. I was coughing in the middle of it too.
You know, you don't have to be perfect. You just need to, one guy said a big portion, I forgot what percentage of success is just showing up.
That's right. 50% of it is showing up. And unfortunately, that's all some people do is just show up. They don't do the other 50%.
Well, let's talk about the other 50%, things that are going to make differences in PCO and WCO's lives. I know that you've got a really good subject today, and I'm going to let you take the stage and just talk about it because this comes from personal experience. When you had your pest control agency there at North Fulton and Georgia, and this show, this podcast, everything we do is about improving a person's business. In other words, we don't want to see you go flat. We don't want to see you go at a loss. We want to hear that every time you look at the numbers go up. Well, what do you got to do to make those numbers go up? Listen, Hal Coleman, the floor is yours to talk all about that.
Well, one thing I'm not going to talk about today is how to be successful killing a turkey, because I went turkey hunting all weekend up in the North Georgia mountains, froze myself. It was really cold, colder than I thought it was going to be. Didn't hear a turkey, didn't see a turkey, and told my son, I think there's only 2 turkeys out here, and I'm looking at one of them. So that's not what I'm going to talk about. What I'm going to talk about today is something that affects everybody. We're all in need of working on this. I know I was, and that is how to charge a higher price than you're charging right now and still grow your business in double digits. So I want to give you a little background. When I went in business for myself, now I'm in my 47th year in the pest control industry. For 10 years, I was a state pest control regulatory inspector. And then for 6 years, I worked for a large independent pest control company. I did 3 years running a route and doing termite inspections. And then I went into sales for 3 years, 100% commission sales. I got no draw. I got no salary. I got no wage of any kind. It was all commission. Then in 1990, I had a friend that I used to regulate when I was a state inspector. He was a one-man operator. He was in his 50s, and he was only certified in termite work. So he didn't do household pest control, wasn't certified to do that. And he had been in business, for a good many years. And he told me one day, he said, I said, when you get ready to retire, are you going to leave this to your son or your daughter? No, they're not interested in the business. He said, the day I turn 65, I'm going to sell this little route. He had about 600 termite renewal accounts, and that was all. He wasn't doing much new termite work at all. He just didn't feel like doing it. I think he was in pretty good shape financially, and he just did what he felt like doing. I said, well, when you get ready to sell it, please give me the first opportunity. I would love to buy your little company and go in business for myself and buy your little route. He said, all right. I said, I want us to shake on that. And so we did. We shook hands on it. And, for 10 years after that, I would see him occasionally in a restaurant or somewhere. And I'd say, "Hey, you haven't forgotten about me, have you?" He said, "No, I haven't forgotten about you, Hal. I'm just not ready to hang it up yet." So one night I got this phone call, and I was working for this company in sales, making more money than I'd ever made in my life, and enjoying work, not working very real long hours. I had my job down pat selling termite and pest control. And I get this phone call. He said, "Hal," he said, "listen, I've turned 65," and he said, "I've decided I'm gonna hang it up, and I'm gonna sell my termite route." And he said, "I got a guy with his checkbook in his hand waiting to write me a check, but I told him I got to make one phone call first." So this is that phone call. You've always said, I've always promised you I'd make this phone call. I said, "Oh man." And I said, "That's great." I said, "You got to have an answer right now, or can I give me a couple of weeks?" He said, "No, take your time, take your time." I said, "I need to talk to my banker, my lawyer, my preacher." I said, my wife, I said, "I gotta." So, bottom line, I made the decision. I refinanced my house, took all the money out of my house, bought his little business, and I was in business for myself. And the first thing I noticed was that as I began to absorb it all, is that I need to raise the prices on these termite renewals. Now, this was in 1990, and the average price of a termite renewal contract was from $25 to $45 a year. And there were several in there that were $15 a year, and they were lifetime damage contracts. So imagine that, $15 a year for life with a damage contract. At that time, most companies were charging anywhere from $60 to $80 a year for termite warranty. So I started struggling. I began immediately selling my new annual contracts for $75 a year. But I struggled to get these others up because some of them had been sold 19 or 20 years before, and they'd never had their prices raised in all that time. So it was a real lesson in strategies to get the prices up. And I talked with some PCOs who were mentors of mine, and they gave me some advice, and I used my instincts on some of it. But I finally got a lot of those prices up. Some of them dropped off, but at $25 a year, I was kind of glad to see them go if they weren't willing to raise their price. But so I began to get my prices up, start charging higher prices. And a few years later, I went to an all-day workshop. It was up at this place in North Georgia. A guy named Dr. Larry Steinmetz, and he talked about how to rate the whole topic of the day was how to charge a higher price than all of your competition and still grow your business. And he had a book that I bought that some of you folks might want to get called, I think it's called How to Charge a Higher Price Than Your Competition. It's by Dr. Larry Steinmetz. And I learned a great deal about the psychology behind charging high prices and being successful. So when I start working with a client in my coaching program, one of the first things that we deal with is I ask them, "When was the last time you raised your prices?" And most of the time, "Oh, it's been a few years since I've raised my prices." So the first thing we do is we raise their prices. I tell them what to do and tell them what not to do. I tell them what to do. I say, "Look, raise your prices." And a lot of time we just raise them by 10%. But if you're doing $100,000 a year and you raise your prices by 10%, that's like finding $10,000 laying on the sidewalk. It's just immediate found money. And they have very little difficulties with it. They may have a little handful of people that get mad and drop off the charts, but usually it's problem customers that do that. They'll say, "I had one guy that got mad and said he was going to go find somebody else, but he's been a pain in the butt all these years, and that's fine with me." So it really doesn't cause any problems if you know how to do it. uh, especially when you are. And I tell people this: what do you charge, for instance, for quarterly pest control? And they tell me what their average price is for quarterly pest control. I say, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to raise your price, and we look at what they're charging, and we pick a number that we're going to raise it. I say, raise your price to this. And then the next 10 people that call about pest control, I want you to quote this new price instead of your old price. And I want you to see how many of those 10 people complain. And it's almost always, I raised my price and nobody complained. They all just bought it. So he said, I'm raising them permanently. So there again, that's found money. It's something that you don't have to work for. It's found money. So I think if you haven't raised your prices in several years, you need to raise your prices. This is for new customers. And on your old customers, if you got customers that haven't had a price increase in 4 or 5 years, communicate with them and let them know that, the time has come for a price increase. Nobody on this planet expects to pay the same thing for the same service forever. They don't expect it. They expect to get a price increase from time to time. So oblige them and give them a price increase. They won't complain. And especially if you explain why, equipment is more expensive, insurance is more expensive, and products we pay more than we used to. And I've kept your price the same for many years. I wish I could keep it the same forever, but I can't. And it's just, if I'm going to continue to provide you this great level of service and do the best job that I can for you, I'm going to need to raise my prices. It's not just you, it's everybody. And they understand. If somebody doesn't, let them walk. They're not a good customer anyway. So that's really what I wanted to kind of talk about today, Mike, is how to charge. When I sold my business in June or July of 2008, I think from all I could ever been able to figure out, I was the highest price pest control company in Atlanta, Georgia. Now that's saying a lot. I was higher than Orkin. I was higher than Terminex. I was higher than everybody. And my business grew at double digits average. So some years were maybe a little less than double digits. Some were way up in the double digits, but I averaged my growth over the 18 years that I owned my business. I averaged it all up, and it came out to an average of 13% growth a year. Now, I've learned since I started studying neuroscience and buyer behavior and sales psychology back about 18 years ago, and that's all I've done since then, really, is be focused on that. Now I can show people how to grow their businesses at 20, 25, 30, 40% a year. So I wish I had known those things back in those days, but there was nobody teaching it. So I kind of wanted to become the person that I'd always wish I could have had to guide me on how to grow my business. But anyway, that's kind of the topic of today's how to charge a high price and have people lined up at your door raising their hands saying, we want to do business with you. We don't care what the price is. So, Mike, I know that you can add a lot to that. And so I'm going to turn it over to you and let you pick up and run with it. Can't hear you.
There's another mistake button.
You must have hit the wrong button again.
Hit the wrong button again. You
got to quit watching those David Letterman reruns on your program there, whatever it is, and go to bed early.
Okay, I'll do that. Thanks for that wonderful advice. Asking a fair price is difficult for a lot of people, and asking a higher than market price is really difficult for a lot of folks. But the thing that I always heard, and we all struggle with this, and that's why you've got to have a coach or somebody reminding you to change your thinking, because when you change your thinking, you can change your profit. And it goes back to our mutual friend Chuck Reeves. He always said, nowhere in the history of man has somebody said your price is too high a minute. They may think that your value is too low. So one of the things that you've got to communicate in all of your marketing and all of your communication and all your relationship with your customers is communicating why your value is such shock and awe value. And that's shock and awe customer service, shock and awe service, going the extra mile, doing things that that you can tell people were free that they didn't expect, which raises the value of what you charge for. There's so many little things, 1,000 little things that you can do that raise the value. And when you raise that value and that perceived value to a point that it exceeds what you charge, the price is irrelevant. And that's what we all have to focus on. I mean, nobody expects to get a deal on a Mercedes. There's a perceived value of a Mercedes. There's a perceived value of a Rolex. There's a perceived value of oh my gosh,
there's a perceived value of a Timex too, and it's not the same as a Rolex.
They both do the same thing. Timexes and Rolex both keep time, but there's just a higher perceived value, and that has taken time and consistent shock and awe customer service and production and all the things that create that element of high value. So raise your value, the price will be easy to command. And you said something earlier, walk away from those people that don't see the value. That's hard to do, especially if you're at a point in your business that you're really, really hungry. When the pandemic started, I thought business was going to take a turn, and we could get really, really hungry. And what we've experienced in the last year is that there are people still with bug problems, and they're looking to find people to solve those bug problems because they're home and they're finding the bugs. So the value of the bug business went up because of this incredible, crazy time that we're in. It didn't do it for everybody, sadly, but at least for us, and that's one of the things that we're trying to tell people about the value of what we do. And we've actually had people who say, "Well, I wouldn't spend that kind of money with you guys to have you do this." They don't really say that, but you can almost sense it. I don't know, when you from some of the things they say, and that's okay. We're to the point in our business that we, we're both semi-retired, so we do what we want. And what retirement it is to me, Hal, is doing what I want and not looking at the clock. And if I don't enjoy doing it, I can say no. And that's where you got to get your business. There's enough people out there that if you get the reputation of being so valuable, price will never be an issue, like Chuck said. And that brings up another thing, we talked about giving away things free. You don't happen to have a copy that you can show the people watching.
Oh, I forgot to get it ready, but I've got it here. Absolutely free. Bottom line, how to grow a pest control business. There it is.
That's over 200
in my face. I can't see it.
But, people on the podcast. Well, I've got the web address, how to grow a pest control business. That is one of the least dangerous ways to get to know Hal and Mike.
I talk about Hal and Mike in there, all right. And it's I have people tell me that they say, I'm just I'm implementing so much stuff out of your book. I'm so excited. I've only read half of it, and I've already implemented like 5 different things. So it's a good, or you can if you like, you can go to Amazon and pay $30 for it.
Right.
But you can get it free by because you're listening to our podcast or watching our show here, we want to reward you for that. But yeah, we talk about people who complain and about the price raise, Mike. One mistake that small business owners make is they design their entire marketing program around the little handful of people that might get ticked off, instead of focusing on the 98% of the people that won't get ticked off and saying to hell with the 2% that will get ticked off. And that's a big mistake. We teach people how to. This is getting a little off subject, but it's important. It's. I'm going to tie it together. We teach people how to drastically change their vehicles sometimes and make them big and loud and outrageous with bugs and things all over them, so that when they go down the road, somebody says, "Wow, look at that vehicle over there," or the kids say, "Mom, look at that truck." Look. And we have some people, who, especially they come to us or we read them on Facebook. They say, "Oh, I would never put bugs on my truck." You pull in somebody's driveway, that may be offended to them. They may not like it if you pull in their driveway with bugs on your truck and somebody knows that they're having a pest control company. You should never put bugs on your truck. You should. So I just asked people, I said, I had big bugs on my truck for years, never had a single complaint. And then I'll ask some of my clients with these big, outrageous, striking vehicles with these bugs, how are people reacting in your community? "Oh man, they love my truck. People talk about my truck all the time. Tell me how cool it is." You ever had anybody complain about it? You pull in their driveway? No, never have. Never have. So, I had a guy one time, you and I had a client out in Phoenix, I believe, who out there, you're not really required to put markings on your truck like you are here in Georgia. Here in Georgia, you got to have the name of your company and the city and the phone number and all, and letters have got to be at least 2 inches tall and everything else. But out there, all you had to do had your business license number on the side of the truck. And this guy didn't have any markings on his truck intentionally. He said, "No, I don't want people to know that, I didn't want anybody to get ticked off when I pull in their house." And I'm like, "Really?" So I talked him into decorating his truck, his business from that. I think the new calls he got from the truck paid for the truck decoration in about a month, but same thing. Let's tie that back to pricing. I'm afraid it'll tick somebody off if I raise my price. You know what? It might tick somebody. It will tick somebody off because you raised your prices, but the vast majority of your customers aren't going to have a problem with it. And the cheapskates, tire kickers, will have a problem with it. But I didn't like cheapskate tire kickers to start with. So they're always the ones that want to call you out there 20 times because they thought they saw a bug. "Oh, I didn't know it was a grain of rice. I'm sorry. I thought it was a maggot," It's like, so don't worry about, Dan Kennedy, one of the greatest direct response marketers of all time. I quote him a lot. He said, "If you haven't ticked off at least 1 or 2 people by 12 o'clock every day, you're not marketing your business nearly hard enough, and you're losing a lot of sales and you're leaving a lot of business on the table." So there's a fine line there, but raising your price is never a problem for the vast majority of your clients. So take a look at that. It's found money. It's found money. When you raise your price, you don't do anything other than raise your price, and you get all this extra money coming in. It's like magic. So, yeah, most people need to raise their prices. And listen, there's a right way and a wrong way. It's not that you just go raise it all of a sudden. There are the right things to say to people, and there are the wrong things to say to people. And there are several strategies for contacting the people at the right time before you raise the price, and exactly what to say and exactly what not to say. And there are numbers too that that you want to raise it. You don't want to raise it too little. You don't want to raise it too much, because once you raise it, you don't want to raise. You want to say, "Oh, I didn't raise it enough last year. I think I could have raised it more." You don't want to turn around and raise it again, you see, real quickly. So you want to know exactly how much to raise it to get the biggest bang for your buck, because you don't want to have to raise it again next year, and you don't want to have to let it lay around at that price for a long time. So you got to be sure you raise it enough. There's a lot of things to know, but if it's done correctly, raising your price is a piece of cake, and it's like found money.
Well, you know what we're going to do right now? We're getting close to the 30-minute mark, and that's what we usually try to keep these podcasts and these live streams to. So when we get back to, one of the other things that we believe in, creating amazing value for folks, Hal and I both love to do one-on-one free sessions. The first session, both of us will take time and analyze if what we do and our services will be a good fit for you. You can call me at 770-826-3662. You can check out all the things I do at mikestewart.live. And then, if you want to have a free consultation with Hal to see how he works, to see how he teaches, to make sure he's a good fit, you can contact him at 770-993-0004. You can email him, Hal at halcoleman.com. I tell you, a good way to do things is get with Hal first. Do that 1 hour session with him. I'll tell you what, we've had so many people do that hour with you, Hal. And then what happens is generally you do some evaluation, and that customer becomes my customer. So I bow to you. It's like, Hal is a PCO. He can relate to you guys. He can look at what's going on with you. He can ask you the questions. A great questionnaire that you give folks. And it's an email or a phone call away. Go get his book at howtogrowapestcontrolbusiness.com. And just, listen to the podcast, share the podcasts with maybe some of your friends in the business that are in other cities that aren't competitive. We do this as a way of giving back to the community. And with all that being said, have you got any other final words before we play the theme song and head on out of here?
Yeah, I do, Mike. But you gave me an idea that I need to share. One thing that people say sometimes, which lets us know that they really don't understand how we operate, is I have a lawyer, estate planner who's a client now. I've had energy healers, travel agents, real estate agents, spa people, lawn care. All businesses are the same. And I'm going to explain that to you, but I'll have somebody say, "Well, dude, what you do, somebody told me you'd help me, but I'm an attorney. How does pest control apply to an attorney?" I said, "It doesn't, but small business is small business. They're all the same. Just like you guys and girls in pest control and wildlife control that are listening to this or watching, understand all houses are the same. They all have a foundation and walls and a roof over the top, and they have windows, and a lot of them have stairways. Some of them have basements. They have bathrooms. They have kitchens. They have laundry rooms. They have yards. They have driveways. They have garages. Some have chimneys. Some don't have chimneys. They have a den. They have bedrooms. They have hallways. They have floors. Basically, all houses are the same. They may not all look exactly the same, and they may not all be the same floor design or the same kind of siding, but we go into a house to do a termite inspection sometimes. I used to get tickled at this, and the homeowner's got to take us downstairs, show us where all the light switches are to the rooms, show us where the basement door is, I don't need you to show me that. I know where it is because I've been in a million houses and they're all the same.
They don't all cost the same.
Light switches, guess what? They're all right next to the door. no matter what room you're going in, there's a light switch on. So all business are the same. So if you know a friend who is struggling in a small business, struggling to stay afloat, struggling to make sales, can't grow the business, thinking about throwing in the towel or whatever, tell them to give us a call, because we'll give them a free coaching session too. And my questionnaire that I send out to PCOs and before we do our session, our free coaching session for an hour, I send you a questionnaire to fill out about all your growth and your marketing and your sales strategies and all. So that way, when we sit down together, I don't have to spend that hour asking you these questions. I'll already have gone over the information you sent me, and I'll have identified some really low-hanging fruit. I'll have identified some struggles that you're having, and we can really bear down on those during our hour together and send you away with some great stuff. Just filling out the questionnaire is going to help you a lot, because you're going to have to learn things about your business that you don't already know. And people tell me, when I was amazed at this number once I filled it out. I thought it would have been more than that. So the questionnaire alone is helpful, and we'll send you away with some really new focus on how to reach your goals, how to get to your end line, whether you're planning on retiring or whether you're planning on passing the business along to one of your children, your son or your daughter, or whether you're going to sell it to a larger company, or whether you're just going to hang up your spray can and throw your coveralls in the trash can and give your flashlight to your grandson. I don't know what your plan is, but whatever it is, we'll devise a plan, a strategy to get you there. And so take us up on it. If you're serious. If you're just a tire kicker, if you're just a cheapskate tire kicker who wants to call and waste an hour of our time just because you're curious and you want to see what we do, I'd rather you not call, okay? Because Mike and I both are busy working our butts off just like everybody else is, trying to take care of our business and trying to provide good service. So if you're serious, we would love to hear from you. If you're not, we're not that excited about hearing from you, because we don't want to waste your time or our time. So anyway, with that said, Mike, you got anything else to add?
We'll see you next time on the Pest Control Marketing.live live stream and podcast.
Hal Coleman has been active in the pest control industry for over 40 years, including owning and operating his own successful pest control business for 18 years. He now devotes his time to helping other PCOs and other WCOs double, triple, and even quadruple their businesses faster than they ever imagined. Be sure to check out his website, pestcontrolmarketer.com. For more information about Hal's coaching program, you can reach him at 770-993-0004 or email him hal@halcoleman.com. Mike Stewart is known as the Internet audio and video guy. Since the birth of the Internet, Mike has been showing small business owners how to get more new customers, increase their sales, and grow their businesses online using audio and video, now with iPhones and Android phones. For more information about Mike's coaching program and his online training courses, visit MikeStewartCoaching.com or email him mike@internetaudioguide.com.
Google Pest Control Marketer. Grow your business like never before. Call 770-993-0000.